All
Hey,
right.
Carol.
Hey,
Hey,
every
how are
time,
you?
okay. I'm like so bad with computers.
You made it. You
I
made it. You
did.
did it.
I think with working with Dana so much, I'm starting to get the hang of it.
Yeah, I love
So,
that. I love
yeah.
that. No, and trust me, I get it. This is a true story. My uncle, when I was a child, if you can imagine how new computers were back then, um, I was like 14 years old, and I was showing my uncle how to use a computer, and I told him to right click. And he literally took out a pen and he wrote down the word click on a piece of paper. I'm not kidding.
Oh, you know what? I can relate to that because I would have done the exact same thing. Seriously, I would have. So
Yeah.
it's just who I am. And my children call me a tech tard. So
I love, I love that. Well, I'm here for you. I'm super techie and I'm used to dealing with people that aren't. So just so you know, if you ever need anything from me, I got your back in that realm.
cool beans, cool
Yeah.
beans. So I have to tell you, it's so funny. I was talking with Dana and she just laughs at me sometimes. But I said, so I love, absolutely love the whole concept of what you do. I just
Yeah.
think it's brilliant.
Thank
And I have some friends who are like, let us know how it goes, all this kind of stuff.
you.
But I've learned many things that are what I need, how I need to adjust. Being new and coming into this, and like I get you can't tell someone exactly this is where you should start. This is da da da. Like, it's like a little bit of floundering, I guess you could call it from
Right.
me.
Yeah.
And so I was talking with Dana and I was so excited. She's laughing. She's like, wow, I don't think anybody I've talked with has been this excited when they ended up really not getting any deals or anything, but you're so
Right.
excited because you're like, oh my God, I have learned what I need to be doing and how I need to be working with Nicholas and da da da. Like I'm going on and on. She's like, okay, great.
Well, and Carol, it's so funny. I just shared that with a client yesterday. So, and I great job being aware. I normally have to teach what you just said to people. So, like, honestly, that's really cool. And I love that you're like excited, not like, oh crap, look at all this crap I have to learn, right? So it's like it's really cool how you're approaching it. But I was just mentioning to someone the other day that it's like when you come to me, you have your first problem, which is I need leads, right? That's
Mhm.
problem number one. Then I show up and I go, hey, I can fix that problem. But then a new problem arrives. And you're
Right,
like, oh wow, what am I going to do with the leads, right? So now, and I
right.
just told that to two clients yesterday, and I did that in preparation of exactly like be ready for the lessons because you are going to have to adjust to
Yep.
what happens. And I said, and the good news is I'm right here to make that adjustment period as minimal as possible.
Yeah.
But no, thank you so much for starting off by saying that. And
Yeah.
that's it's a really great. You're my first call of the day. This is a great way for me to start my
Oh.
day. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Wow, I feel like it's late. I mean, I'm in Arizona right now.
Oh
So
wow.
so this is actually like an awesome like time because otherwise it would be 5:30 in the morning back in
Right.
Hawaii. But
Yeah.
but it's so interesting because I've made a lot of connections with people who are working like in the outskirts of the Kansas City, Missouri area.
Yeah.
And they've all told me because I'm working on the wholesaling aspect. And like the one guy I was talking with is like, oh my gosh, Carol. He goes, here's my contact information. He goes, because I was at a real estate investors
Aria meetup.
conference kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they were like, he's like, you've got so many people in this room that you contact me, I can't do it. I can send you to all kinds of people. And I was like, okay, because they work in that area. That area is like right now is like the area, the core of a lot of real estate investing going
Activity.
on.
Yeah.
So so what I've learned is mostly because of my schedule and the time difference combined together, I was like, okay, I took on too much for my first time. And I was
Sure.
thinking 4 to 6 weeks was going to be, like a
Yeah.
good
Time
length
frame.
of time. And it's like, and because I work night shift, I work
Okay.
12-hour nights,
Wow.
at least 3 times a week, sometimes four. And then because of an incident that has happened, I've picked up extra time. So I fly over to another island
Wow.
to help them out. And that's so I usually work either Wednesday through Friday night shift or Thursday through Saturday or sometimes Wednesday through Saturday. And usually I have those extra days off the beginning of the week. Well, that's not what was happening. What was happening
Right.
was
Because you picked
I
up.
I'm flying over to the Big Island on Sunday night, working all day Monday, all day Tuesday.
Wow. Yeah.
And by the time I finish in the afternoon, well, back in the Midwest, it's I finish at 5 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock at night,
Right.
so and what I and I think also there's a few other things I was kind of like, well, I'm gonna have to work with Nicholas for my next campaign. And like one of the things is I know you guys say, oh, well, our partner's going to call you within 24 hours. I'm like, well, that's not happening. Like
Sure. Sure. Right. Right.
because that's
Right.
yeah, so
That's the first thing that's not happening. Right.
yeah, it's like we're gonna have to rearrange that verbiage a little bit and
Yeah.
say it's going to call you within the next few days, like that kind of thing. But I also think what I'm going to do is because again, my schedule is changing a little bit with this extra time being added. I might have to touch base on a weekly thing and say, hey, you know what? Make the calls like on a Tuesday. Don't overwhelm me though with it.
Right. Right.
And then because I think most of my schedule is going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday in December. So then I can call people on Wednesday. You know what I
Right.
mean? So if you
Yeah.
call Monday or Tuesday, get the contact and then also let them know, is this something I can ask of you to let them know that they can expect a call from an area code of 808, just so people know what to expect. Is that something that's realistic?
I think that we could do that. We don't normally do that, so it might take my team a couple errors to adjust, but
And
I
that's all
think
right.
I think that, and that's probably just taught maybe a good practice in general, maybe for us to start doing with our clients, um, to maybe preface them if it is out of state,
Yeah.
I'll I'll message my team now and then if you email us that request to say, hey, can we try to say that Carol will be calling from an 808 number?
Yeah.
I think that would be a great verbiage
Yeah.
uh, for us to be saying. Yeah.
Yeah, because the contacts, I literally, I eventually got around to making the phone calls, like depending on my, the time frame and my schedule. And that was my greatest, I
Achievement.
think, problem. But I spoke to a lot of voicemails, which is actually fine with me because that actually teaches you how to be more relaxed speaking
Start.
anyway when a
Yeah,
person
right.
answers. So I don't have a problem with that. But I um I also the people I spoke with, it was very interesting. Um, they were kind of a little standoffish. Um, like like the one person I called her back within, I think it was between 48 and 72 hours.
Okay.
And I got her. and she was like, I was like, oh boy. But she was kind of like, well, someone said they were going to call me back the next day. And you know,
Sure, sure.
yeah. And
Yeah,
that's why I was like, I think we better change that verbiage too.
yeah, right.
But, and I said, yeah, I said, and I apologize. I said, but I had a schedule, kind of
Yeah,
not mix up, but what would I say? Kind of like a schedule upset the fruit basket, where I had to rearrange a lot of things. And
yeah,
so,
yeah. And I think it's cool, and the double point. I think I kind of use those moments to humanize yourself. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm sorry. I worked the overnight shift, and
yeah,
I've been catching up on some sleep during the day, and I am, and then it's like when you can. I've learned when someone is being having an attitude or on their way to one, that like sometimes like, hey, we're all humans here kind of tone,
right, yeah,
I try to take on too. So, maybe also use that as a time, as an opportunity to rapport build, because another thing I've learned about people is if they show up away and you diffuse it, like they get double the trust. Like, oh, I was wrong about what I thought. So now,
yeah.
now,
She
now we're
wasn't
going
she
to
wasn't
work.
having any of it. She just kept coming back to, and I was like, oh, okay. So that's when I was like, okay, note to self, we're gonna change verbiage.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then
And
I like the
schedule.
idea about the times, right? Yeah, Monday, if we knock it out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you call them, within, I don't know if it's possible, like, but within an hour of coming in on those days or something, you're gonna have a very high contact rate,
Yeah, yeah,
if you do that. And then we could sub-segment the campaign to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays for you as well.
yeah. And I was actually thinking probably only making calls on Monday and Tuesdays. That's it, because then Wednesday's my catch up day.
Your day to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's the other thing I was thinking. Maybe I could ask if it could be said, like, they'll call, we'll have our partner call you back by Wednesday, so that's technically 24 to 48 hours. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
So, and, so I think, if it can kind of get tweaked, and if a
Yeah.
schedule changes in a week coming up, I can let you know ahead of time and say, only call on Mondays because I happen to have Tuesday off, and I have to
Right.
work
Yeah.
Wednesday. But
Yeah.
even so, even if I work Wednesday, I don't go until 6:30 at night my time.
Yeah.
So I can still be up and calling people,
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So so
Yeah. And,
yeah.
and you're doing houses, so there won't be a crazy amount of leads. I think texting is your big one, right? I mean, texting got 16 leads on this campaign, and then, cold calling got 9. So it's like, maybe if we put that kind of control, maybe texting we start on Saturday, and then we
Oh,
could send
okay.
the leads by Tuesday or Wednesday as well. Because
Okay.
sometimes we go back and forth for a couple days. But maybe that would be another idea as well to help and ensure your results on this next campaign too.
Okay. So so how does it work from your end when you're combining calls and texting? Like, do you follow up with a call after you've done a text, or?
We do it all the same, like we're completely separate entities. So like it's not congruent. We're not like, hey, we called you. So like we don't want them to know that the same person who's calling them is texting them, if that makes sense, right? That
Gotcha.
I think if I was a person receiving all of that, I would, and if I was a grumpy person receiving outreach that I knew was all coming from the same person, I would be
Mm-hmm.
like, come on, dude, back up. you know
Not bad,
so
grasshopper.
yeah, and so I like I like to keep it completely anonymous, so they don't know the text is you and they don't know the calls are you. And even with the calls, we
Okay.
actually call everyone up to 3 times if they don't answer, and we buy 3 different phone numbers for you as well. So
Okay.
they get calls from different numbers and stuff too.
Okay. Okay. And so then my next question is, like when I get the conversations sent to me,
Yeah.
I feel like the conversation's getting cut off in the middle. Like I'll
Yeah,
have,
the text. You're talking about the text. And what's
oh, is
happening,
that text? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
that's probably text. And what that is
Okay.
they've stopped responding. So you are
Okay.
right. So I train my team that if they reply positively but ghost us, still send the lead.
Okay.
So when you see an incomplete conversation, it's because we couldn't get anything else out of them.
Okay, so that is probably a text. Okay. For
Yeah,
some
that's right.
reason, I don't know why. I probably missed it. I thought it was all phone calls and that the conversations were phone calls that you had had with someone.
Gotcha.
So okay, so this is good. I'm learning. So
Yeah.
all right. And then so because I emailed one time to support and I said, I feel like I'm not getting the full conversation. Like the last question is, what's your best email? But then there's nothing after that. And they're like, no, it's the full conversation. I didn't realize it was a text message for some
Gotcha.
reason. I thought for some reason I thought um the conversations were like recorded um like verbal contact with like a phone call contact, and that's why I was like, I don't think I'm getting the whole conversation. So now I understand. Okay.
Okay, cool. I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I'll train my team too to make sure they answer that question more thoroughly. Maybe we could have given you some additional insight
Okay.
before as well.
Okay, cool. And then uh the one the one thing that I also learned was there were times I was getting phone calls back.
Mhm.
And I'm guessing like if you guys make a phone call, you leave a message for them just asking about, are you possibly interested? Here's our number. Like, how's that work?
So there's two ways you could get calls back.
Okay.
Okay, one way is generally if someone says they're not interested now, we will. Okay, well, if anything changes, will you call my direct line?
Okay.
Now, now that's normally pretty rare if somebody calls. But there's another thing that we do where we could forward your return calls coming back to our phone number to you.
Okay.
And that would be people saying like, "Hey, you just called me."
Yes.
Or if people said that, okay? So that isn't from us leaving a number. That's probably from them receiving a call. Now, normally clients have to request if they want that to happen, if they want the callbacks going back to them. So if you didn't request that, that should have been going to what we call like an arbitrary voicemail where those calls just go to die, right? Is
Mhm.
basically what happens there. But yeah, so that can happen one of two ways. They can go to you. I have a great script for that, for those calls.
Okay.
And for you to use if you did want to answer those. And then if you don't, we can just send them to an arbitrary voicemail as well.
Okay. And I don't mind them coming to me.
Okay.
Um, um, I I wasn't sure if you were leaving voicemails or not,
Right.
because a lot of people just called back but didn't let it go to voicemail.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know who these people are.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like they're screaming, screening, excuse me. Yeah.
So, yeah, they're probably screaming too.
Yeah, yeah, right. It's right. Right. Yeah, they're screening and screaming all at the same time. That's a good point.
Yeah, because that's why I was kind of like, why are these people leaving any voicemails, and then I'm thinking, if they left a voicemail, am I supposed to know they left a voicemail with this person? You know what I mean? So, or if they, if you guys had called and left a voicemail. So if I see someone call back, then you you encourage us to call them. Yes, even if they
I wouldn't necessarily call them back because
okay,
we call people back that don't answer. Okay.
okay. That was my next question.
But if you answer it live, I suggest you have the conversation in a
Okay,
sense.
okay, cool.
If that makes sense. I wouldn't go out of your way to call it back, but if you're like, well, here we go, you know.
Yeah, Because I was like, of course, it's always like at an inopportune time. I was like,
Right,
oh
exactly.
gosh, I can't pick up the phone right now,
Right.
So, okay, cool. So very good. Okay. So like I'm not home right now and I know I'm not going to be available for a bit. So probably what's gonna happen is I will get um re-signed up for another campaign
Okay.
to start probably right after Thanksgiving. So it's a week and a half or so.
Okay. Great.
And do you want me to just put in the things kind of like, I hate calling them guidelines, but you
Yeah, I
know,
would. Yeah, I would just add it in there for sure.
okay. Okay, cool. So I'll probably tell you what days and, and I'll probably say, yeah, make it as long as it needs to go. Like, I just don't want to be overwhelmed. That's all. Cause then I won't do anything. So,
Okay. Got
but
it.
okay.
Yeah, that's
All right,
cool.
cool. Well, I don't really have much more. Appreciate the clarification very
Yeah,
much.
no, for sure.
I really have, um, I really do have, positives about your
Yeah.
whole thing. So, and I know what I want to ask you. Dana Mate said, please ask him this. When you do your calling, do you do things like if I say to you, I'm really interested in pre-foreclosures, do you have that ability?
Yeah, to like pull those lists. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, because I just wanted to make sure because Dana thought you did, but she
Yeah.
told me to ask you because those
Yeah.
are kind of things I'm really interested in, especially in that Kansas City, Missouri,
Market.
suburban area. It's a
Yeah.
hot market right now. So, and I
Yeah,
have
we can pull almost everything. We can't get too crazy with distress like divorce. You
okay.
know, I don't know divorce. I can't get code violations, but I can get mostly everything else.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you. And if I come up with any kind of even a list or something like that, can I forward that to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you could send
Okay,
your own list over. You could send it over with the campaign. The package includes skip tracing, calling, and texting.
great.
So you could just look at that and say, okay, cool. I could send over 2,000 records and he'll do all that in there. And then we
Okay.
could knock it out.
Okay, cool beans. Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you
Well,
so much,
thank you
Carol.
so much. I
Yeah, have a great
appreciate your
holiday.
time.
Yeah,
You
you
too.
too.
Enjoy.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.